when I will turn you on, essentially. So, and hopefully it's gonna be a little choppy, the video, because my computer's throttling down and I'm not really sure why. So, it's the way she goes.
For me?
Yeah. Just needs to adjust.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Huh.
We can't hear you, Nate.
Well, welcome to the low rent battle.
Yeah,
this is why it is a low rent.
Yeah, we still can't hear you.
Nate, you're muted in Jitsi.
Awesome. How about now?
Now you're not.
Now we can hear you.
Professional stream. Well, good evening, greetings, welcome. This is the Cubicle chat where we are set out to have a talk about tech, around the virtual water cooler. Anything that is Linux, tech, and open source related is on the table for discussion. We want to keep it lighthearted and happy, and kind of a little bit of an escapism from the from life. So that's why we're here. I do want to thank the OpenSUSE project for the usage of their Jitsi server. And I also want to thank Rocca for starting the BDLL community, where I truly felt like a member of the nicest group of people, for being encouraging and uplifting with all kinds of phenomenal skills and abilities at a whole range of levels. So I want to welcome everybody here tonight. Vash, thank you once again for kicking me in the fourth point of contact to get this thing rolling. How are you tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. I don't think we have video on the stream, by the way.
No, we don't. That's what I was just going to say.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure what's going on here.
Oh no, what happened? What did I do?
Now it's showing.
All right, so here's the problem.
It's frozen.
Yeah, so I'm having some issues with this computer. And so it's throttled way down. Hopefully it'll solve that problem and it'll come back to normal. I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, I think we're good now.
Yeah, it is operating slowly. So hopefully the sound is coming through okay. I don't know if anyone can. All right, as long as the sound's coming through okay and we look like 3 frames per second, that's fine. This is a low rent BDLL, not the high quality version. So here we are. Now, Big Pod, it's nice for you to join us this week. Thank you for taking the time to stay up late, and I know how I don't know how you were able to do that.
Well, according to some of my teammates in the team I'm working with on Ubuntu Mate, I should probably get more sleep, because this is somewhere when I'm starting to think about I probably should head to bed. So this is at this time I'm still up normally.
Oh really? So you actually you stay up late like this on purpose? Uh-oh, did he fall off again? He might have. Barb, it's nice to have you back.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
I hope you regale us with some tales of other the great things about the 70s once again. Or the 80s?
Back in the dark ages, right in the last century.
Get Nate's channel flagged.
Yep, probably. I didn't get flagged. I'm surprised. Well, I don't think it has enough views. The algorithm probably doesn't process my channel at all, so that's fine.
Why did you think we'd get flagged?
Oh, I don't know.
Last
Blowing
week.
people up?
I never blew anybody up.
Well, somebody did in the 70s.
Oh yeah, the Weathermen. They were an anti-war group. They did. They used to blow up draft boards, basically.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
See?
And the thing is, the woman who made most of the bombs, the person who made most of their bombs was a woman. Yeah. And she did not survive one of her bomb makings.
Oh, boy.
Oh yeah.
Oh, boy.
It was an interesting time to be in your late teens and early 20s.
Sounds like it.
It was. It was much different than today.
Yeah, well, the 70s was a different time.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And we can't expect it to be the same or come back or do anything like that. Times change.
They sure do. That's an understatement.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of humans are as bad as cats when it comes to change. They don't like change. And I think that's what we have. Things that have changed so much so quickly as we've become more technical and more computerized. And I think a lot of people they're frightened of it.
Well, it's understandable.
Especially if they're, yeah.
But
Because it's just they don't understand it, and things are just changing too fast for them.
Afraid of the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I see that Thomas is back again, and he's
Yes.
slightly distracted by something he's got in his hand, some sort of electronic device. I think I saw Picard have one of those. What is that? A personal display device?
So I was handed a tablet all of 30 minutes ago.
Oh.
And yes, I actually had the specs up earlier. I think I lost the thing, but it's weak sauce. But we're gonna see if we can't put UB ports on it and get it, revived. And if we don't, cost me nothing.
So how are you gonna actually do that?
So UB ports have something called the UB ports installer, and I remember they used to have something on their website about install UB ports on your own device, even though it's not on our list of supported devices. So I'm gonna try going through that. I fully expect the cameras not to work. I wouldn't be surprised if something else doesn't work either. I hope Wi-Fi works.
Yeah.
I'm okay if Bluetooth doesn't work because it has a headphone jack somehow. It's old enough, I think it probably shipped with one anyway because it's back in those days. But I have high hopes for being able to unlock the bootloader. Beyond that, we'll see. If UB ports won't work, then I can try Lineage OS, I think. And if that doesn't work, if I can figure out what processor it's running, there's a chance I could just try like a generic ARM distro.
See,
Well,
I think
before
I read
you-
it's Qualcomm, so
Yeah, then the chances are lower, but not zero.
Well, the thing
Yeah.
is, before you go blitz it, go into the settings and whatever, and there's got to be something that says about this tablet, and that should
Oh,
tell
yeah.
you what the processor is.
or at least it should tell you what model the tablet is, and then you can figure it out.
And that will tell you the tablet model too, and then you can look that up and find the processor.
Yeah, I'm already looking it up. 1 second. So I'm going to type as I say this to cover up my heavy typing, as everyone is well aware that I do. It's a Lenovo TB3-850F. Yeah, so Tab 3.8.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if we can't find specs for it. According to Lenovo's website, it has a MediaTek 1 gigahertz quad-core 64-bit processor.
Well,
beep.
the output on your on your screen disagrees, if I remember reading correctly.
It said quad core, and that was about it.
Huh.
Alrighty. Let's see. Yeah, MediaTek 1 GHz quad core 64 bits processor, Android 6, Dolby Atmos, dual front facing speakers, a gigabyte of RAMs with 16 gigabytes of storage, micro SD card expansion, 4290 milliamp hour battery, 8-inch HD IPS display at 1280 by 800.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey, everybody.
Oh,
How are you?
Welcome. Wonderful. Welcome to the low rent biddle.
Yay.
The frame rate has dropped to about 1 per second, so it's great.
Woohoo. That's good. Hey, Big Pod.
Hey.
How are you?
Very great.
So I just came in, so what have I missed?
Not much.
Not
We had
much.
Thomas
Yeah.
was regaling us with the tales of his tablet and how he's going to be
Awesome.
reviving it to be an awesome something.
Reviving.
Ooh, nice.
And I disconnected twice.
And
Oh,
we've actually had 3 instances of Big Pod so far. It's
Yeah.
like he keeps multiplying. It's pretty exciting actually.
Multiple
Now
Big Pods.
I think it won't happen again because I did kill the wireless card, so I think it
There you go.
shouldn't work at all. But I think the distribution creator should know.
uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
These
Uh-oh.
things
We
happen.
lost him again.
You spoke too soon.
And so we're
Yep.
so pretty much we're just kind of going around seeing what people have been up to. Eris hasn't told us what he's been up to yet, and I guess
Aw.
and Big Pod started, but he did this a couple times, so it's all right. That's why it's a low rent biddle.
Yeah.
Every time he started, he disappeared.
Hopefully he'll get that fixed before tomorrow, because that's when we usually do our gaming stream for the Wimpy's World Discord. So
Ooh.
which is now, so the gaming is on Twitch now, and we've been doing a lot of racing games. I think last week they did golf with your friends, which is
Golf
on
with Friends?
Steam.
Yep, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It's
That was
ridiculous.
fun.
Yeah.
It is. It's kind of like if you've been watching what is it? Holy Moly! The past 2 summers, it's kind of like the Steam version of that game, especially once like the logs start falling on you. Yeah. Yeah, that was fun.
But that's pretty cool. I've only played it I think a couple times, but I find it just funny.
Funny is good. We tried. One of the other people on the Discord and I tried Fork Drift, which is a free forklift crashing delivery game. It's free. And it's pretty bare bones, but it's also hilarious. Especially, I think, if you got like a group of people to play. And it's just ridiculous because you're in these giant forklifts that you can customize into strange colors and things. And you run around either trying to knock each other over or trying to get a box from a closed room into a boat, which sounds easy, but it is not. So, yeah. And it's free to play. So it's just,
Oh, that's
yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
So like I said, Adam Grubbs just joined, Mr. AG,
Yay.
I did.
and
Hi,
it's
bro.
nice.
Hey, Adam.
It goes great. We're running at like 1 frame per second here, maybe less on the stream. It
Much
has-
less, yeah.
Yeah, so it's great. That's good. That's fun. But at least the audio is coming through, and I think that's the important part, because
That's the key.
that's the key. Because if the audio was crap, garbage, then it would be
It would just be
Less-
awkward.
yeah. Then I'd be like, all right, good night, everybody.
Okay. Well, I guess what's his name? The distribution creator needs to hear about the fact that my system keeps disconnecting.
Well, you might just want to send in a bug request or a bug
Yeah.
report. Not like we won't be getting a whole deluge of those this week, but
Be good times.
Or
Yeah.
maybe I probably should think about updating my own distro.
yes,
That might be very helpful.
that might be helpful too.
Especially when you're running the next version that is coming in future. Yeah.
hmm
So
Yeah, coming very soon in the
very soon,
future.
yeah.
Speaking of, look what I found. It's not
Oh,
hirsutes, but it is fuzzy and soft, and it's adorable. And yeah, this was from my former life as an instructor, because I used to teach English to kids in China at like obscene hours of the morning. Like I'd stay up, teach till like 1 or 2, sleep for about 3 hours, and then wake up and teach again. And so a friend of mine had all these jungle themed stuffed animals left over from her bat mitzvah. And they were just in a bag, like in storage for like 10 years. And I'm like, could I have them? Because it would always be fun if I would teach, like, H is for hippo, and then get the little hippo to wave. And so we were going through it, and I found it. I'm like, oh my God, it's mine. So yeah, so she just kind of sits on top of the books there, and yeah,
Keeps them safe.
it's awesome.
Keeps them from floating away.
Exactly. So yeah, yep.
Because you never know when gravity's going to work against, just flip on you.
You never know. And also, it's like super subtle theming, I guess. Yeah.
I always keep this nearby. So
Oh my God, the chameleon, which is just so, yeah. Though I still need to share with you those weird chameleon like face masks that they had on the mask singer though, because those were just weird. Yeah, but I have to say, you all have an adorable mascot, and of course it's green, which is the best color. So
yeah, sometimes it's not easy being green, but it works for me.
Well, it is the best being green.
exactly.
Well, okay, now this big pod, what's changed with you? Because I thought you didn't like green before. Like, is this the same big pod that I've known to love over the last several years?
I always like green. I just didn't like you being so green. You always had
that's
that
fair.
green light, so you were always green.
yeah,
I
you-
didn't like that. But
Yeah, like you are now. You have definitely a green cast to you.
It's actually a yellow light, and I think that I have I don't have a good studio, so it's all right.
well, I don't have a good studio either. You see my bed here.
I do. And it looks like you're on the top floor. Is that the roof?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
See? Vaulted
I
ceilings.
mean, I don't have a good studio either. It's just my little library.
No, but you've got so many books and things in there. It's
I
awesome.
have really pared that down. Almost all my books are in here now.
Mhm.
Just about all of them. I really pared it down. I had
Yeah.
at one point I had all my books, all my husband's books, and then all my parents' books. And my husband had put shelves in the hallway above the doorway. So on both sides there were books. And
That's
I
a
had books
lot
in
of
my
books.
oh it was and then after at one point after he died, and I decided I got to get rid of some of these books because you wouldn't let me get rid of them. It was one of these weird things. Oh, but this was your parents' stuff. You can't get rid of it. I don't want these.
Yeah.
And so I ended up packing up 43 cartons, Barnes and Noble size book cartons, putting them in the barn, and having the Binghamton University Friends of the Library come and pick them up. 43 of those cartons.
That's a lot of books. Yeah.
That is a lot of books. And I still have one room I have to still finish doing.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then I went through and I went through my books I got rid of that I didn't want anymore. And some of his stuff I had no idea I would never read it. and cleaned it out. And so basically, all the books I have are in here, which is nice. It's kind of cozy.
Yeah, it is. It's super cozy. So
Yeah. And it's the bookcases. Oh, and then what you can't see is that I am facing another one of those 8 foot, let's see, 36 foot bookcases. My drafting table is against them, and then it's stuff
nice.
I don't need really, and I have more like stuff on the shelves than just books. So there's
Nice.
lots of books.
So, does anybody have any Linux or anything open source or tech tales from the last week?
I'm talking to you via Pipewire, so I guess that's interesting.
That is
Oh,
interesting.
hey,
And you
cool.
also just did a video on it. I'd like to say I finished it, but I didn't. I only got halfway through it before I started having some computer woes and was trying to solve them before low rent biddle tonight and didn't solve them. So, or I solved only a few of them. So, do tell of your experience of how Pipewire's been going.
I mean, for just day-to-day stuff, I mean, it's been fine. Getting some of the more like Jack-related programs to cooperate with it has been a little trickier. But it's been because they've been crashing, not because I've had trouble getting it to integrate. So, I mean, right now it's running through Carla, and it's actually playing nice with that. But it is something where I think it's not quite there for, and again, maybe this is just my setup, but maybe it's something weird about my setup. But so far it's been perfectly fine for day-to-day stuff, and when my apps haven't crashed, it's been working pretty well for the Jack type stuff too.
So the question is, I know that OpenSUSE has been including Pipewire, like they've actually been pushing it, but it's not activated by default. Should I start to play with that and see how it goes for me, or is it not ready yet for that kind of work?
It may be worth installing the Jack package and seeing if you can get it to cooperate with some of the Jack stuff. I don't know if I would go as far to replace Pulse just yet, but even then again, I mean, I think the Pulse stuff right now is what's working the smoothest. Like, general day-to-day stuff, turning volume up and down, having the stuff come through your speakers or headphones or whatever. Like, that stuff all seems to be smooth, at least in Manjaro. So I don't know about where it is currently in OpenSUSE.
Well, it's in the package repos, so I'm interested in maybe trying it on one machine. I would say this machine because I don't want to keep this one stable and whatnot, but it's not really been cooperating with me, so maybe I should just kick it in its complacency for a little bit and see what happens.
Sometimes the threat of violence can be a useful thing.
I stole that one from Star Trek. I don't know if you know that, Monica. That's a Picard line.
Oh, how did I not know? Oh my God, I lost some of my geek points there.
Yes.
Well, it feels better than, what did we ask? Oh, Wimpy was doing a stream this past week on doing some updates, and Yannick, who also races with us on Sundays, asked him what kind of pet would basically what kind of pet would have the name Spot, and those of us who knew the answer were like orange cat, and he's like a dog, and we're like, we're gonna need to revoke your it's like Spot is Data's cat. So I can't believe I forgot that Picard line. Clearly I just need to rewatch TNG.
Clearly, I don't remember the its second season when Q visits for the
second
to the
season is
Borg.
Okay. Wait, you want me to watch second season?
Or is it third season?
Second season. Okay, because the
first
second
Borg
season's
episode.
rough.
The first Borg episode.
Oh, I thought the first Borg episode was like. Okay, somebody Google this.
I am.
Or DuckDuckGo it, or start page it.
Let's see, where does it? Come on, just tell me. 1992?
Does it say which episode title?
I think it does up here. List of Star Trek board episodes in chronological order. Okay. Season 2, episode 23.
Okay, so that's why
Or
I don't.
actually, the same season, season 2, episode 16.
That's the one.
That's the one
Okay.
where he
Yep.
gets, yeah.
Well, season 2 is kind of sometimes painful to watch, but
Yeah.
I like season 2 actually.
yeah, I mean, it's sad because I think I
It's a little
did think
campy.
that 1 and 2 are kind of totally gloriously campy, and it's so weird to think, like, what was it, this year or last year, that Will Wheaton is now the same age that Patrick Stewart was when he started filming Next Gen.
Yeah, but you gotta
Wow.
remember when those
Hope
were
that
those
you-
30 years ago.
Shush. It was. Some of us are still coming to terms with that, so
Oh,
yeah.
someday you will. Someday you'll get to the point and you'll realize,
I will, yeah, but I'm not.
What were
I'm,
we
I'm
saying
not quite there yet.
before? Nate, remember when I was saying something about people don't like change?
Yep.
Humans are as bad as cats when it comes to change.
Mhm.
It's really true.
I think for me, it's not so much change, but realizing just how much time has gone by. Because sometimes I like to think it hasn't been all that long. And then
Mhm.
there's things like, people's children. And you're like, oh, wait, no, it has been that long. So, yeah. Anyway, but cool. Yeah. So what were we talking about? Oh, computers you were threatening with violence. I was wondering what got us onto that Star Trek tangent.
Well, it was Pipewired. That was it's,
Pipewire.
yep. We pipewired ourselves right into Star Trek. So
That was it. That's true. We
yep. I am gonna have to start playing with it though. I'm very interested in seeing how it plays. Like if I use it and I don't see any difference and I just gain some jack ability I didn't have before, even if it's a little bit crashy, I can at least file some bug reports, right? I mean that would be a good that'd be a positive contribution I could make by playing around with it.
Yes, it's very true.
So yeah. What was I gonna say here? So Vash, what other noteworthy experiences would you say that you could share with a class on Pipewire?
Well, I mean, like I kind of talked about in the video, ultimately, it's just kind of all three solutions when it comes to Pulse, ALSA, and Jack all in one, and there's no kind of fiddling with switching between the three or anything like that, or worrying, will this particular application be aware of Jack or whatever. So there's just a lot of flexibility that you can get in and really kind of play with other things that you really couldn't do before in Pipewire that was much more difficult to do in Jack. When people were using something in Jack, they would start up Jack, they would have Pulse killed and just do things in Jack, and then when they wanted to go back and do normal computer stuff, they'd have to kill Jack and then bring Pulse back up and all that fun stuff. But with Pipewire, it just kind of attaches to all three of those systems and works. I don't know. It's been pretty seamless on that end. Like that is the part I've seen the most out of it. Is just how it kind of just fits in. Like I can't even, unless I go and check, I can't even tell you that I'm using Pipewire.
Really, that's very encouraging.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm like I said, cautiously optimistic that this is going to be a pretty big deal here. If they can, again, I need to actually install a fresh system somewhere and actually try it on a fresh system, maybe in like Arco Linux or something. Perhaps crash clause me.
I know.
I know. We're like the
Only
last
us
one
were left.
standing.
There we go.
There we go. It makes me feel better.
Hi there.
Hello.
Did I lose you?
I
No,
think
we
you
lost
lost.
you.
Yeah, I think that we lost you for a moment.
Yeah, because it turned out it was just Monica and I, and we were kind of sitting here.
We
thinking
could
we're
just
like the last
take
one
over
standing.
the show.
Yeah, we could.
Yep.
I wouldn't want to do that every week, but yeah, we could.
Oh no, absolutely not.
It'd probably be more fun.
We just, well, if anything with me, we just end up talking about tea or food at some point. So,
Nothing wrong with that.
yeah, exactly. Ooh, I forgot. I can. Well, no, if I actually have some open source things I did this week. On my computer, because we are we just started Ubuntu testing week on Thursday, which starting a testing week on April Fool's Day, awkward timing,
Who
but
thought of that one?
it gets set in the schedule. I don't know, but also we should definitely talk about some of the April Fool's Day tech things that were out there, because some of them were actually fun. But as part of that, I installed my first VM on my computer. And at first, I was just because my husband, like I've said before, he's the OG Linux expert in the family. And at first, I was going to ask him, and then I'm like, you know what? There's tutorials online. I can figure this out, and I totally did. So because I knew that testing versus VM is just easier, it's faster, and I really wanted to try it because previously I'd only done testing via a flash drive. So that was very cool. And also another thing that I got to do that I really enjoyed, but that maybe wasn't as much on the technical side, is that I got to profile some of our top testers, and then also some of our new testers too, to find out how they got started, what they do, why they enjoyed doing it, and it was really fun to get to find out their stories and to share them. So that was nice. So yeah, so feeling kind of rather productive. So
That's good.
yeah, that was good.
Well, I've been playing with the Raspberry Pi 4 quite a bit lately.
Ooh,
How
nice.
gigs of RAM did you get?
You know what? I don't remember. I think it's a 4. Shame on
Because I
me.
think there was.
There's a 4 and
I
an
don't
8.
know, whatever what does it normally come with 2, and you can get 4 now or an 8.
No,
But
I
somebody
think
was saying once it got really hot, they had some major heat problems with the higher.
those were like the first gen ones,
Right.
I think.
Oh,
So-
the Raspberry Pi 4.
Yeah. And now that I'm thinking about it, I can't even remember where I bought it. That's awesome. Anyway,
Let's set the question on.
no, actually, I've been enjoying it. I've been using it every day. I have it hooked as like a multimedia type setup,
Oh, nice.
and I installed OpenSUSE Tumbleweed on it because I want to test it and file bug reports. And it's actually been pretty bug free.
Cool.
It does get warm. I have it in a Flirk case. I don't have it here because it's hooked up, but I have it in a Flirk case, and the case does get perceivably warm, and it does actually. The case is used as kind of a heat sink, so that means it's working. But as far as like video quality, playback quality, I'm only using it at 1080p, so I'm not really pushing it. But it's great for streaming video or whatnot on it, and the playback is great, the sound is good. There are quite literally no hiccups. The first version of Tumbleweed I installed, I've had it for a little while now, but I first just started playing with it. When I first put Tumbleweed on it, it's a little bit ropey as far as it would start into terminal, and I'd have to log into the user and then start X, which that is the opposite of awesome. It's that's real 2002, actually even before that really.
Yeah.
It's a little that was a little off-putting, but with the latest round of updates that came through on latest snapshot, I think snapshot, I think 2021, 03, 24, something like that. So the last couple of weeks, it came through, and now it runs great. It runs fine. There are no sound issues. I don't have to mess with any of the settings to get the sound driver, because the the system on chip used a different. They didn't upstream the codecs or the drivers for the sound, and so and the way OpenSUSE works, they work very very much in the upstream. They do try to minimize the patching, and so that wasn't patched in. And now it's great. Runs awesome. Bluetooth works.
Very cool.
So I haven't really played with the GPIO portions of it yet, but it kind of sort of has the. Welcome, Steve. It just sort of has the standard. There's just a software running on right now. I gotta get all the other to play around with the GPIO stuff installed next, so I can see if I can basically run that instead of another distribution. But what I do like is it does run at 64-bit, and I think the Raspberry Pi OS version is 32-bit, and that I don't really, I may as well take advantage of all the bits, I suppose. So Steve, welcome to the low rent biddle, where we're running at less than 1 frame per second.
Well, thank you very much.
How has your Linux week been?
Oh man, I have something exciting to share.
I want to hear it.
Ooh.
I even have a link that you can go to.
Excellent.
So if you, let me see, you got a chat in here, don't you? I could just copy and paste this in. Where's the chat window? There it is.
It's on the side,
On the side.
the left side. If we're going to be real particular.
If you go to that link, you will see what I've been working on this week, and it was inspired by our discussion last week.
Excellent.
And that is, we were talking, if you remember, about taking notes and wanting something that was searchable and things like that. And I actually finally pulled the trigger on working on something that I've been wanting to work on for a while, and that is getting my notes into Doxify. So if you go to that link, which is a subsite of my blog, you'll find my little wiki that I'm using for my brain, you might say, in Markdown. And it's been a fun week working with Doxify and getting all of my notes. This is probably the second or third incarnation of notes. I used to just put notes in just text files. And then I moved them into ASCII doc, which is kind of similar to Markdown. It's another form of markup, plain text markup that you can use. Then I move things into Markdown to get them into Doxify. And originally I kind of thought, well, I've been doing my blog, which is discoverfoss.com. I've been doing that in Hugo, which uses Markdown. And so I thought, well, I could just do another Hugo instance and host that as some static pages using a Hugo template. But then I found this thing called Doxify, and it's really cool. I don't know if you've ever been exposed to this, but this kind of checks like a number of boxes for me. Number one, it gives me the opportunity to practice my Markdown a little bit more. Number two, it keeps me using Vim as my main editor, which I love. And number three, it gives me the opportunity to host something on my Raspberry Pi, my ancient Raspberry Pis. I know it sounded like when I got into the chat that maybe Nate was talking about his new Raspberry Pi, his Raspberry Pi 4.
Yes.
Well, I still have 2 first-generation Raspberry Pis, and I love, like you, Nate, I like to keep my old hardware doing something. And it's no problem hosting a Doxify site because it's JavaScript, and it's not doing any work on the server whatsoever. It's just serving up the Markdown files on that Doxify site. And you can see it has a search capability, and so you can search for anything. So if I would type in here something like bash or something like that, you can search and you'll find all sorts of entries for bash. And you can click on them and it'll take you right to that particular note. And all these notes, by the way, are individual Markdown files. like Fedora, General Tips, MX Linux Fluxbox. Those are all individual markdown files that are grouped together in this sidebar. And so I was playing with this and having fun. And my son and I, we have kind of our geek caves right next door to each other down in our basement.
Nice.
And so my teenage son, who's a programmer, and he's actually a developer now for the MX team, officially received as a
Cool.
developer for the MX team. He was watching me play with DocsFile. He's like, "Oh man, that's cool." And so he started playing with it, and then he's like, "But how'd you get that cool sidebar?" I said, "Well, you got to manually, type all that stuff in." "Oh, I don't want to do that." He's like, I don't want to
Teenagers.
manually. Yeah, I don't want to manually type in a table of contents. We got to figure out how to do that programmably. And he wrote a little Python script just yesterday. And it's actually in my GitHub. If you go to GitHub, MoWest USA is my GitHub home. You'll find this in the MoWest wiki. But he wrote a little Python script, and that Python script will actually go through the folder, and it will find all of the different files that you have, and it will create an entry for them in the sidebar. But we wanted to make it one step further, which was we wanted to be able to put categories, so I could group them by category, so that it's not just an alphabetical listing of the files, but it was grouped by category. So that Linux tips, if you see that, or Home Lab or tools, those are all categories. If you can't click on them because they don't go to an actual file. And so in order to create the categories, we did a cool little trick, and that is Docsify will not read anything that is coded as an HTML comment string. So if you put something as an HTML comment, it won't read that. And so what we did is we put a category and a comment string, and so that his script will read through there and then divide all of them up into categories as well. It's super slick. I just love it. So now with his little addition, his little Python script, and then I have that tied to a deploy script, the whole thing is automated. It'll download and send it right to my Raspberry Pi, one of my old Pis. So super, super cool, and a great way to make use of your notes and to have your own wiki. If you want to host something yourself that's real lightweight.
So this is the one Raspberry Pi I have. This is the oldest one I have, but it died. I just don't have the heart to throw it away. So.
Do you know if it died? Because that looks like the same one that I have. I've got two of those, and I thought both of mine died. Well, and I found out that it was an SD card problem.
Really? No, I had a basically video failure on all of them. Like it was just kind of going nutty. So I don't know. I could try. I could play with it again. See if I can get it to.
It was really weird. I had both of mine die. I was using them with Diet Pi, and when I would do updates with Diet Pi, sometimes they would act like they died. The lights wouldn't come on, or just the power light would come on, but you wouldn't see any like hard drive action or anything like that. And it just looked like the whole thing was dead. You'd lose video and other stuff. But what I ended up finding out is if I would take that SD card out and if I'd reformat it with FAT32 and then reflash an image to it, then suddenly it would pop back to life again. And another thing that we found out as well is sometimes your power supplies will go bad. We actually had a couple of Raspberry Pi power supplies that were rated to be for the Raspberry Pi and were created for the Raspberry Pi for that first generation. And they went bad on us. And so when we got a new power supply, that also fixed some of the issues we were having with the original one. So both of my original first generation ones that looked just like yours, I thought were dead, but it was an SD card problem and a power supply problem.
Interesting. Well, I mean, I guess it's worth trying again.
Yeah.
Wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, it can't hurt. Can't hurt.
It was my understanding that if you don't have enough amps for your power supply, the old Raspberry Pis won't work correctly with video.
It could be that
it usually is an amperage problem.
it could be that the power supply just maybe took actually could be the power supply is the one that failed on me. So I just ordered some new power supplies, so I should give it a try, see what I can do with it.
Yeah, I'd be really interested to find out if maybe it was a power supply issue, because we had the same thing. We had one that was on an actual, Raspberry Pi power supply created for the Raspberry Pi specifically, and it was running fine for months, and then all of a sudden just completely went berserk on us and acted like it was dead. And then we changed it to a different power supply, and then reflashed the SD card after reformatting it with FAT32, and then it kind of brought it back to life again. And by the way, that whole formatting with FAT32, I have no idea why you should have to do that. You shouldn't really have to do that. I mean, you should be able just to reflash the image onto the SD card if the SD card is not corrupt and there's no F-disk problems with the SD card. But I have found, for whatever reason, that we couldn't always do that because we were flashing with new images and it still wasn't working. It was still acting like it was dead. But it wasn't until we reformatted the SD card with FAT32 and kind of like made it fresh from the factory that way, and then reflash the Raspberry Pi image that it would work again.
That's pretty cool.
So a couple tricks to hopefully revive some of those old Pis.
Yeah, well, I just got 3 power supplies in that have that claim that they're better than OEM. They have the voltage and the amperage to power them. You will not see the little, lightning bolt in the corner. So perhaps that's what I need to make it work. Now I have to try.
Yeah.
I feel compelled.
And you mentioned, the whole 32-bit. The reason why Raspberry OS is still 32-bit is so it can support those first generation Pis. Because not only is that one that you have a generation 1 that needs the 32-bit because it's the old ARM version 6 or whatever, but all the Raspberry Pi Zeros in the world, those are exactly the same chip. And the Raspberry Pi Zeros, there's a lot of those that have gone out into the world, and there's a lot of specialized projects that use those Zeros because they're a much smaller form factor.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why Raspberry OS still has that image. But I thought that maybe they had a 64-bit image too, specifically for Raspberry OS now as well, but I'd have to look that up.
I checked the imager just now, and they do not. Not in the imager. Maybe they have one that's not official. I don't know.
Okay.
I know that they were at least working on one. That being said, there's a ton of different alternative OSs that you can use for the Raspberry Pi, and half of them have 64-bit support, so you can just grab one of those.
Yeah, actually, most of them have 64-bit support. That's why I can't use, I love Fedora, but Fedora doesn't have a non-64-bit. They only have a 64-bit. And quite a few of the other distributions only have a 64-bit as well.
Does the Pi Zero, is that a 32-bit or is that a 64-bit chip?
It's a 32-bit. It's the old ARM version 6, so they have to use a 32-bit with the zeros.
I may have just purchased a few of those, so I don't know, just to play with.
Kind of be stuck. You'll be stuck then. Probably won't be able to use OpenSUSE on the zeros. You'll probably need to use Raspberry OS for that.
That's fine. But I do. There's ARM32. I believe OpenSUSE still does that. I have to look it up.
Oh.
I have to look it
that'd
up.
be interesting if OpenSUSE has a 32-bit version.
So I see Steve's very own has arrived.
How is everybody?
Wonderful.
Good.
Good to see you all. Good not to see Adam either.
Ouch.
Wait.
Adam's my buddy.
Well, I don't. Is he?
It's okay. He doesn't have that many more years to look at me, so it's all good.
Oh, snap.
Well, currently currently it appears that I'm not disconnecting, so maybe
No.
maybe it is Ubuntu Mate problem.
So Ubuntu Mate, that's what you're running now, eh?
Yeah.
That's exciting. How do you? What made the switch? Because you were very much an Arch fan last time we talked. So what brought you from? I mean, I have my reasons why Arch. I understand that, and I mean, I'd rather chew broken glass than use Arch. But why would you? What made you choose Ubuntu?
Well, I went from Arch to Ubuntu for first of all for mostly for the experimental reasons.
Okay.
Because if I was since I was started thinking about looking for an employment and I probably wouldn't run Arch if I ran if I was employed. Probably wouldn't run Arch. If I did run a Linux distro, probably Ubuntu or something like that. So I started using Ubuntu for that reason, and along the way I started to enjoy Ubuntu Mate, and then I joined the development team, and that's how it is now.
Okay.
He was experimenting in stability. That's
Well, something like that, yeah.
It's
What do you do for the team, Big Pod?
Well, I do automation of package building for testing purposes. So when it's finished, master branch of the Mate desktop will be automatically built every day or almost every day, and the QA team will be able to test latest changes that will arrive in months down the line.
That's
That's cool.
fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a great distribution.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's two of us here who are slightly biased since we're on the team, but it is, I mean, I started with it as my main 2 years ago, and I'm still on it for, I mean, I use stock Ubuntu now for work, but I mean, Mate is just, it's just a really nice experience.
It
And
stays out of your way. That's what it. Because I've been using it since.
yes, we
2017.
cited you in one of our I can't remember the site of the website, but I think we used a video that you had when Biddle was
Yeah,
talking about one of
right.
the really
Mhm.
pieces. And I remember that phrase you said, it just gets out of your way.
It
So
just works, and you don't have to worry about it, and it does. It gets out. It works for the way I do things,
mhm.
and that's what I like. And it's stable. I don't have a problem with it. Then I don't do a lot of weird stuff with it either. But I don't have a problem with it. It just works. Doesn't do anything strange to me.
One of the things I really appreciate about it is I have it running on one of my machines at work, and it's a machine that doesn't get used a lot. It gets used about once or twice a week, and you can do that quick change so it has a Redmond layout.
Mhm.
And for those who are more familiar with Windows, it's not as scary. They walk up to it and they may know that it's different, but they know how to get to where they need to go. And the menu pops up. It kind of looks like the Windows menu a little bit. And they're able to use it just fine for the little bit of use that it gets every single week.
That's cool. I haven't tried Mate in a while. It's got the right colors.
It does.
It's green.
Cucumber
does.
green is
It is,
nice.
Yep.
Yes.
That's why I like the purple theme.
Yeah, and that's one of the great features of Ubuntu Mate. We have all colors available if you don't like the green.
Yeah, I personally
nice
run
on
the
plates.
teal.
And chameleons.
I
Nice.
think I currently have either
We can't
green
leave
or orange.
poor Nate out, and chameleons.
No, chameleons are awesome. So
They are. It's
They're
those
very-
eyeballs. that go in
It
opposite
is. I know. I know. They're so cute.
And then they have the fused, some of them have the fused toes.
Which is a little weird.
I
but
didn't know
it's
that
fine.
about the toes, but that's very cool.
They do. And, yeah. There are many different species of chameleons.
It's cool.
They're just cool critters.
It's amazing how they can change colors. I mean, it's not like extreme. I mean, maybe some of them are a little more extreme, but it's amazing how they can do that. It's just
Well, the one that's even more amazing is the octopus.
Oh yeah,
They just have
those can change
parts
so
of
fast.
Their bodies change based on whatever, was around them. So they can have like one leg is one color because it's over a rock, and then
Yeah.
the rest of it's another color, whatever the sea bottom is. It's really,
Yeah.
they're really amazing.
so the Finding Dory then, was that pretty accurate? How the octopus would hide itself?
I think
They're
so.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, did you see there was? I think this was in Australia. Somebody was
Oh.
on vacation. I saw this the other day in the news, and there was this very, very possessive territorial octopus, very close
And-
to the shore.
Was its name Vince?
I don't think so. It was a big one. It had really, really long tentacles.
You had to throw it in
Yeah, it
there,
was
didn't you,
the
Steve?
news.
He's not around. If he is, he can work it out. I'll draw him out.
Yeah. I do think we have to properly say his name at least 2 more times.
Would you have to say sleepy-eyed Vince or just Vince?
Oh,
Just Vince.
There, that's
okay.
3
We've
times.
that's 3. Let's see.
That's right. Where is he? It's like Beetlejuice, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Now, I saw that headline but didn't click the story. But didn't like the octopus like beat some guy up basically?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. Well, they're very, very smart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was really quite hilarious. And the thing is, I guess he or a buddy of his sent the, put a video out, and then it went viral. And I haven't seen the video because the article didn't have the video. It just had a photo of this octopus very close to shore with all its limbs out.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Don't argue with an octopus.
No.
So just agree. Whatever he says, just agree.
Yeah.
Just
I
say
think It
yes.
can be very aggressive, is what it is.
Well, if I'm on land and it's on land, I'm probably at the advantage.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
But if you're in
I might
water,
talk-
it's in water, forget it.
yeah. But so I might talk back if he's on shore, but I probably won't talk back if we're both in water. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Respect its territory if you are in octopus territory.
Right. Makes sense. I dig it. I dig it. Well, Adam is one to play games, and I was going to share with the class that there is one game that I have been playing a little bit on Linux, and that is, have you heard of Lego Star Wars Force Awakens? It's a little bit older, but it plays. My kids love it, and it plays.
Aw.
It plays brilliantly in on Steam with Proton,
Nice.
and so I've been enjoying that quite a bit. It's very funny how they make fun of Star Wars, and it's kind
It's fun to make
they,
fun of.
they poke fun. I mean, because I like Star Wars, I know some people don't,
Yeah.
but they poke fun at it, and it's just
Oh,
it's
I know,
very
it's
very funny.
entertaining.
Well, Legos pokes fun at like everything.
Everything.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
They're like the more gentler robot chicken from Cartoon Network.
Mhm.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
But what I'm impressed, like the Lego games I played, I played Dimensions on the Wii U, and then also played the PlayStation 2 Lego Star Wars. So I was expecting that kind of interaction, but the Steam or the PC version is a lot more complicated. Like they have a lot more to it. So
Yeah.
it took me a bit, and I find I'm a little slower in picking up games these days. And so my 9-year-old was actually schooling me on how to do stuff. So
I think that's an inevitable progression.
I know, but I didn't think I was there yet.
Well,
You
are.
thought you had a few more years.
I thought at least 5 years, right? 5 years, or maybe 10.
Oh,
before that
you're,
was-
you're being generous.
Yeah,
Oh.
Yeah.
but
But that's awesome that you all have a thing to play together. Because doesn't that have the two
yep,
player
kill
mode?
once. Yep. And the way they
Yeah.
split screen it is very clever too. So like if you can actually go apart from each other and there's like this little split screen thing and go different ways. But then when you get
Yeah.
closer together, it starts to like the splits that kind of changes, and so you can. It actually helps you to find each other too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Now, the key question is BB-8 a playable character?
Yes,
Perfect. Okay. That's all I need to know.
I had to be BB-8 in order to go to like into this cold thing, so I could
Mm-hmm.
get like a super piece, or I don't know, I can't remember what it was, a little spinning
Yeah.
light thing, and then also BB-8 to go through like this poison gas thing. But anyway, so it was fun.
Cool.
I got all the DLC as well, so it'll probably
Oh,
last me
nice.
at least the rest of the year, so I don't have to buy another game the rest of the year. So, Adam, have you been playing anything new? Is he there? Maybe he left.
Yeah.
No, he's there. I saw he did
No.
something.
No,
Maybe.
he's there, but there's
There.
there's a
That's not-
red.
Oh, I hear him. I thought I heard him. 'Cause I know he's always got some game he's playing.
Oh
Oh, he disconnected. Oh, I guess he didn't want. He was tired of me.
We lost
That's fine.
no! I
Anybody
think
else?
that he had a bad connection because he had the red thing
Oh, okay.
up there, so he'll be back probably. Let's see. I think I was talking about this at the start, but played Fork Drift, which is free and silly and really fun. It is a very much you get what you pay for game, and you don't pay anything. So there's like 2 modes to the game, but it is multiplayer. There's a mode where you can have teams. I think that would be fun. Played golf with friends, and a few weeks ago I actually picked up Valheim. So, that is a game that I think I need to play not with a controller, because I did and managed to smash my workbench within 2 seconds of building it. So, yeah, and that was the point where I turned the game off, and I'm like, all right, need to find a more effective way to play this. But
You smashed your workbench.
I accidentally smashed my workbench, so clearly did not mean to. But a friend of mine had picked up the game, and so we still hope that we might be able to play together, because his computer is older, and so it does run. But yeah, just games playing on, for the most part, any game that I'm getting that I'm running in Proton just runs beautifully. And it's really nice to have those options.
Well, you're far more lucky than me.
Well, I'm also very fortunate that when my husband built my computer a year ago, and this was while the price of Bitcoin was low, thank goodness, he put a ridiculously good video card in my computer. So that also really helps. But it's been good. But still have been playing a lot of the racing games with the gang. So not playing them especially well, but they've been fun. So
Well, you are at least somewhat good.
yeah, I'm getting proficient now. It doesn't help we're racing in expert mode, which is
Yeah.
stupid fast. But like I said, it's more the fun of playing than beating people. Okay, occasionally it's about beating people, but yeah. Otherwise it's just fun. So, and it's just the fact that we can like video game with people in like different countries all over the world. It's just like that's that's awesome. So, and not just playing like the text-based games that we played like back in the 90s. So, it's technically it was playing games with people all over the world, but not quite as visually exciting.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
That-
it's exciting every time I beat you.
Well, that's true. But I don't take it personally, so it's all fine.
That's cool. Anybody else? Adam, do you have any game news from the?
Yeah,
from the end?
can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great. You sound wonderful.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm off this whole week because spring break and all that. It's
Ooh.
good
Oh,
times.
nice.
So, my plan is to play this game called Outriders on my Xbox. It's like a kind of a looter shooter thing. It looks interesting. I played the demo. It was pretty fun. So, I'll probably play a little bit of that all week. See how I like it.
That's cool. What is it kind of game is it? I don't have any idea. It's like a first person
So it's
shooter.
like it's like a third person shooter game.
Okay.
With basically like randomized loot and stuff that you get. So
Yeah.
you go through like different quests and missions and boss battles and all that throughout the game, but all the loot is like randomized. So
RPG
kinda
with
keep
shooting
you coming
elements,
back kinda thing.
basically.
think of Diablo but with guns.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
those are one of my favorite games. I currently play what's called Division 2. Basically, it's a story about the time we're currently in.
Is that one of the Tom
Tom
Clancy
yeah.
games?
Yeah,
Okay.
you know the story about a serious disease having doing havoc around the world. Basically, the story. So
So not an escapism game then.
no, it was not. It was not. It was first time I played it. It was a bit. This is gonna. Either this is the future or maybe not. But it was last year in March I played it, so it was
Oh
right
jeez.
around when it started. So it's like I was all the time half expecting that the game will come to pass and funny enough I was already ready.
You haven't played any first person or third person shooters. Probably unless you count Lego, the Lego stuff. That's probably the closest thing I think to a third person shooter. But
When you wanna blow off some steam, shooters are probably one of the best ways to make yourself less angry.
kind of get out Grand Theft 2 Vice or Grand Theft Auto Vice City. That's
Mm,
That's
what-
an old one.
what are you talking about? It just came out early
I
2000s.
just typically play Doom whenever I get mad. I just, something about Doom is just great for blowing off steam whenever you get mad, because you can just destroy whatever you want to. It's what it's meant for.
Right. Yeah, I think Doom is one of my favorites because it's old. It's like 7.
Oh, you're talking about the old version.
Oh.
I'm talking like Doom 2016, Doom Eternal.
Oh no, I've never played that one.
I mean, I haven't played the old one either, so I guess
there
we
we go.
got something in common.
Basically, yeah. Good times.
I wouldn't mind playing the old Doom game. The things they got that thing playing on, it's kind of insane.
Well,
like what? Coffee maker's pregnancy test? I mean,
I saw the pregnancy test. I've seen it playing on a TI-83 and a TI-84. God, what else have they had it running on? I wouldn't be surprised if they had it running on a fridge at some point.
I saw
Um,
it running in a command prompt.
Not surprised. I know Doom Eternal has actually been running on a fridge.
I know I saw it playing on a command prompt on a task manager in Windows. One of those like
oh yeah, that was
256
funny.
core, monster CPU instances in Azure.
That was good.
Yeah. So Eris, I haven't heard much from you today. How is your Linux world going? Are you playing any games? Anything exciting in your corner of the world?
No, unfortunately.
Not one
Uh,
exciting thing.
I am thinking about hopping, but I'm not sure to what.
Ooh.
To where?
I'm not sure.
Well, maybe people can help you figure out where you want to hop.
What are you using now?
I'm using Ubuntu.
Okay. Do you want to stay in Ubuntu flavor, or do you want to go to something else?
I like the Ubuntu base.
We're enabling you here, you know.
Do you want to use XFCE still, or do you want a different desktop environment, or you just not care?
I think, well, I'm thinking about going Arch, because I've never been in Arch for a long time. I've only used it like for a week or two, and then I just wiped it.
recommend using Arco.
Arco?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's basically Arch, just a bit nicer. Install and all that.
Okay.
Yeah, I installed Arco Linux D just a couple of days ago on a virtual machine just to see how it would go. And I mean, it does a lot of that base stuff for you, and then it asks you, hey, what desktop do you want to install? What packages do you need to install? And it's a pretty
really
simple setup.
customizable.
Yeah.
You can go from everything just basic install to the everything is already set up for you, and that's really great. And if you get stuck, there are almost a million tutorials on YouTube, all by the creator of the distro.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, it is about 2,000, but yeah.
Slight difference of magnitude there.
The way he creates them, it's probably gonna be
You're back.
a million soon.
And supposedly now Arch has a guided installer.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh.
they posted this on April 1st, but there is a package.
Okay.
No, but there is a package. There is a package, and I think
What
it's supposed to be an
timing.
installer now.
If you believe that, I've got a bridge I can sell you.
Well, I mean, there's been things like ArchFi, it kind of
But
guides
not on
you through
April
the
Fool's
process.
Day.
Well,
No.
if you believe April 1st, what people say on April 1st, I have wireless stuff to sell you with wire.
I don't think people remember this, but I think Gmail was launched April 1st, and everybody thought it was an April Fool's joke. I don't know why you would launch something that day,
April
but
Fool's joke.
people do it.
I don't trust anything on April 1st.
Yeah, I usually don't read the news that day.
My
Yeah.
sister got married on April 1st. I didn't attend.
See, oh my gosh. My husband and I, okay, so we just celebrated our 5th anniversary yesterday, which was awesome. We had a rehearsal on April 1st, and we thought about doing a mock breakup during the rehearsal and then saying April Fools, and then we decided we could not do that to people, so we didn't do anything. It's just like, you know what? As much as our families sometimes are stressful, we want to stay on good terms with them. So, yeah, but that's just though I did have a friend who she announced a pregnancy on April 1st, and it wasn't a joke. So everyone was like, haha, funny. And they're like, nope, this is actually real. So I
would say sometimes April Fool's jokes do not age well.
No.
Isn't it a little bit chilly for a wedding during April?
No, it was beautiful because in the American South, it usually is pretty decent temperature-wise by March. Tonight is weird because we have the 3rd freeze advisory in a row, which is just strange. But no, it's and it's gorgeous because there's azaleas and tulips and trees blooming. It's actually one of the most beautiful times of the year to get married. There's also the occasional giant tornado, but as long as you don't get those, you're fine.
Just don't have an outdoor tent wedding.
No, North Carolina would like to know your location.
Yeah, I'm just outside. Right now, we are just outside of Atlanta, but we lived in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, before we lived here. So, and that's where we got married.
Welcome to North Carolina, where one day it can literally be like 80 degrees, and literally the next day it can be 30 or 40. Like that was us.
That was us too. Yeah.
Yeah, we hate it.
Yeah, we had snow the other day.
What?
We actually had a little bit too.
It snowed in May in upstate New York, so this is nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. When I graduated college, it snowed at graduation, and that was in the middle of May.
Great.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
remember
of snow, like even last year in May.
Yeah, when I lived in Denver. Jeans and a t-shirt on, walked to a friend's house to do some D&D, and it started snowing by the end of the day, and we got like 6 inches probably. It was just, but then Denver, the great thing is it snows, it dumps a whole bunch of snow, and then the next day it's 50 and it melts. So
Yeah, we don't get that.
I would take that.
Usually. If anything, the temperature goes down after the snow.
Yeah, that was one thing about the Midwest. It's like, oh, like the first, like, okay, California girl, born and raised, went to Indiana to go to college. 1st January, I'm there, we get -40 wind chills, and I'm like, wait, what? What? Oh, and so they took all of us from like Hawaii, California, Arizona. They took us to a Bass outlet store to get like flannel lined jeans and like actual winter coats because we were not ready for a Midwestern winter. But it means now, like when it's like in the 50s and all my California
It's not even frames per hour,
Yeah.
it's hours per frame.
Yeah.
Oh,
it
they
looks
said
like it.
something. No, we can't.
Oh,
Hmm.
well, I should now. That's my bad.
Okay,
I
you're
messed that
bad.
up.
Tisk tisk, Nate. We'll have to think
Yeah,
of a suitable punishment. I'm not sure what that is, but
Well, here weather is somewhat normal. In winter we have like minus 10 degrees Celsius at worst. That's maybe it can
That's
go
not that bad.
to 15 degrees Celsius in negative, but when it's summer, 40, 45 at the highest where I live. And by
that
the
still
time
seems warm.
we get to that, we're like all cooking, seriously
Mhm.
cooking. Well, but there are parts of the country where it can get even worse when it's winter, and hotter when it's summer.
Well, that's like the Midwest. The reason why it gets so hot there in the summer and so cold in the winter is that there's no water. There are no large bodies of water in most of the Midwest
Yeah,
that are going to help moderate the temperatures.
yeah,
That's why New York, actually, New York feels colder than it does up here, New York City, because of
Hmm.
the wind and the moisture. There's the city of New York is plop, a big bunch of it's plopped in the middle of basically surrounded by water. It's an island on big giant granite
Okay.
slab. And you get it gets really it feels colder there than it does up here because
Yeah.
we don't have the humidity.
Speaking of water and cold, I appreciate that Steve started talking about Chicago because I went to visit a friend there one May, and here I am thinking it's May, it's going to be warm. Didn't bring a coat, so I had
Oops.
to run and go buy a coat. I was just like, what is wrong with this place? It's so cold.
Well,
Are you knitting?
Can be.
I am. I am. Yes, I have.
I see your needles sticking up. What are you knitting?
This is a shawl I have been working on
Okay.
for years,
Ooh,
but
that's
it's this
pretty.
super drapey, and this is cotton. Which, if you're going to wear anything knitted in the South in spring and summer, it needs to be cotton because
Yeah.
wool is just it will kill you.
You'll
Um,
die.
quite possibly. And so this is just it's this kind of shimmery shiny too.
Mhm.
It's really nice. But yeah, I actually started there is someone I follow on Twitter and she does open source at Google and she knits. And so she started just doing streams on Twitch where she has like the camera on her project.
Uh-huh.
And she just knits and chats and she uses Debian, which is cool. So we just started kind of chatting about our projects. And I was just like, you know what? I have all these like video meetings and calls and this, people do little fidgety things all the time. Why not do a fidgety thing that I get a shawl out of it?
Yeah, I do
So
that with socks. I knit a lot of socks that way.
yeah, awesome. My godmother does socks, and I tried one once, and me and Gage suck. I do not get along with Gage, and if you do not do Gage well, socks go badly. They
No,
come out
yeah,
either
they're tricky. I mean, me
either
being the scientist person, I like reproducible results. So my stitches are like perfect.
that's awesome.
They are.
Mine are like wibbly wobbly, nitty witty. Yeah.
Have you ever? And this is computer related, guys.
It is.
Have you ever
It's open
gone to
source,
Ravelry?
actually. That falls under open
Mhm.
source.
Yes, it does. Ravelry.com. Have you been
No.
on
Uh-huh.
that?
Yes.
That
Yes.
is a phenomenal source. So if there's anybody
It
listening
is.
who knits or crochets or weaves, that is a phenomenal fiber art source.
Yeah.
And it's free. It's open. Yes.
Yeah, and it's really awesome. And speaking of other open source crafty things, I started using KX Stitch, which to make kind of cross stitch patterns. And so I'm doing little alphabet samplers with all the adorable little Ubuntu animals. So,
Oh,
and then so I'm just going to put those on my site and just have the patterns be, like CC0 basically,
Yeah.
and just have them be open to anyone. So, and it's just
What
because,
did you say that
and
was?
that
KX Stitch? There it is.
KX Stitch, oh, it's amazing. It's,
I will take a look at it later.
yeah, it
I
is
just found it.
fantastic.
Okay.
hmm So, and
Oh,
yeah,
that's
so it's
cool.
great how, and there's a podcast, I don't know if you've heard it before, called Foss and Crafts.
Oh no, that one I haven't.
It's because it's all about Foss and so many different kind of crafts. I mean, it goes
Oh, that
from
sounds good.
fiber arts to homebrewed role-playing games, and so they talk, but they also bring people on, and it's a really, it's super niche, but it's a super cool group. So I can't wait till we can
I've got to
actually,
check that one out.
yes. So I can't wait till we go back in person to things and can get to hang out with these people I've got to meet online who are into open source but also
Mhm.
like to knit.
You
And
know,
we
it's
can
funny.
just knit in public and it'll be
When
awesome.
I do that a lot. When I was
Yeah.
working on my second master's, which is in education and teaching,
Cool.
in all but one course, I knitted my way through my master's degree. And I would always ask my professors, but my
hmm
advisor said everyone has a fidget gene.
Yep.
And they found that if you're doing something that's mindless, if you're doing really complex stuff, you don't want to do
hmm
that while you're sitting in a
Yeah.
learning
Oh no,
something, right? I
this
mean,
is the easiest pattern. It's
otherwise, I sit there
yeah.
and fidget in my chair, and I drive people crazy.
hmm
But if I have my knitting, I don't. You notice I'm like
Yep.
all twitchy here tonight.
Yeah. So no, next time you should totally get your yarn, have like a super easy sock and just
Oh, I always have easy socks.
yeah. Oh yeah,
I knitted let's see, in 2 years, so that was in 2 full years, including the summers. I
mhm.
knitted a pair of socks a week when I was working on my master's in teaching.
That's like over 100 socks.
Yeah, it was a pair of socks a week, and it was using sock yarn, the skinny stuff.
Wow. Your
Yeah, the
friends
diaper
must have
boys.
had the warmest, most beautiful
They were
covered
for me,
feet.
or I made some for my husband, and he loved his
Nice.
socks.
Oh, guys, I'll be right back. My husband has
Okay,
an alarm and he has fallen asleep. So, yeah, I'll be right back. Let me go ahead
okay,
and mute.
Oh, good times.
okay.
Yeah, ask Adam about his knitting. Boy, he does a lot.
Well, I know
Trying to
Adam,
get me into it.
about the most I do with socks is I
Nothing
darn
wrong. I
them.
know men who knit. There's nothing wrong with it.
I've been trying to learn crochet. Crochet? I say it?
Crochet, yeah.
Crochet.
Hmm.
I'll get my vowels right eventually.
Crochet, yes.
Crochet.
Crotchet.
Gotcha. Okay. Um,
Crotchet.
I had a really hard time with that. Like it just,
It is
but
weird. I think it's harder than knitting
is it?
to learn.
I
Huh.
I can do some basic sewing, like to repair some rips and stuff, but actual knitting and stuff like that I can't do.
I do lots of
And I just
repairs.
learned that. Yeah, like I learned that because in Boy Scouts, there's a merit badge called leatherwork, and when you do leatherwork, you have to learn how to sew, so you can sew different pieces of leather together. So I learned some basic sewing skills from that, and shush. I learned
Is your
very
mother
basic
laughing
sewing.
at you in the background?
Yes, I can see her.
I can see her.
Like I learned very basic sewing skills, and I'm able to use them to do basic repairs. I've done that a couple times.
You ever sew
I've
your own
used it.
buttons on?
Yeah, I've actually done that once. I've also sewed patches on my uniform, not like patches to patch holes, but like patches for like stuff for Boy Scouts. Um, I did that once because I needed it done quickly, and nobody else was willing to do it at the time. So I was like, fine, I'll do it.
Well,
It'll look like trash, but I'll do it.
Back.
In New York State, kids have to take both what they used to call it shop, and now they call it something else. And they also have to take what used to be called home ec, boys and girls. So you've got 15-year-old kids learning how to use a sewing machine, which I think is phenomenal.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have home ec at all. At all. We
Yeah.
had to learn all. I learned
When I was
all
in
of that.
school, I wanted to take shop. I didn't want to take home ec. I knew how to cook it. I knew how to sew. And
I
I said, I want to learn
learned.
how to build things. And they said,
I
no, you're a
think
girl, you can't take shop class.
I
I
think I learned
I
how to knit at school, but even that I forgot all that now. So
Well, I
I
learned when I was in
Oh,
graduate
you
school in chemistry is where I learned how to use like a drill press and all that kind of stuff. And I
Yep.
would go down
I
to the machine
learned
shop and they showed me how to do it, so they didn't have to do it.
I learned all of this in Boy Scouts. I learned how to cook, clean. Well, cleaning was partially this one back here. How to set up a tent, how to camp. I learned how to handle drill presses and quite a bit of machinery. All of this I just learned in Scouts because I wanted to.
Well, see, I knew you were going
Um,
to talk about
so
that, so I don't know if you could see my T-shirt. It says Call of Duty, but it's not the game. It's from one of
Oh.
our 2013 spring camporees.
Nice.
nice. We actually have a camporee coming up in what 2 weeks? Into the month, yeah. We used to have them all the time. We used to joke and call them winderies and mudderies because weather here is crazy. Uh, yeah, but we
Steve's
have
still
one
a
coming
wee
up here in a
below.
couple weeks. Huh?
What Steve's not telling you is he's still a wee below.
Oh yes.
Oh,
That's
that's
Cub
okay.
Scouts, Adam.
That's okay. I'm not going to judge you for working with Cub Scouts. I do that.
Aw.
Yeah, I was thrown out of Girl Scouts for apathy when by the time I was 11, I was bored silly. Because Girl Scouts in the suburbs around New York City was really boring. They teach you how to make carnations out of tissue paper. I could look at it, figure it out from a book. Yeah, it was really dumb that way.
Yeah, it was. I think the girls get gypped. I don't know how much has changed over the years. I've been out of scouting for a few years now, but oh shoot, what do they call it? It's once they turn 18, both the venture camp, or not venture camp, but venture scouting. So or venture patrol. So they can stay in until they're 21, 18 to 21, and then the guys and girls can get together in the same patrol.
Yeah, and I mean, and hopefully what they do now is that they realize that these, that there's certain skills that everyone should just have, like basic vehicle maintenance. Everyone should kind of know that. Knowing how to feed yourself and wash your clothes and do that. Everyone should know how to do that too. And it's sad that we've colored certain them that this is for this gender and this is for that, when it's like, well, you should be able to like what you like and be able to do it and not have certain things denigrated because oh, that's usually for blah blah blah. And it's just sad because I think
we've
that
gotten much better. We since I was growing up, and you look at it now, I think we have gotten much better. There's
yeah,
still a long way to go, but it is much better.
yeah, but I think the interesting things for a lot of us who were at high school in anytime in the 90s is that's when a lot of like the vocational stuff like shop and home ec were kind of just, I mean, like, well, I know at our school it was also because the budget was probably cut, but those classes just for us kind of vanished. So yeah, we had to pick them up in other ways. But I so wish we would have had a domestic skill class on like
Yeah, they
learning
usually
to
call it
balance
like
a budget.
family
Yeah.
and consumer science types. That's what they usually call it.
Yeah. Yeah,
And at least
which
in New York
we
State.
didn't have. Yeah, which we
Yeah,
just
and
didn't have.
yeah, they do a good. I must say that they do a good job with it in New York State.
Yeah. Because yes, I know that normally you do pick some of those, you pick up a lot of those from home, but I also unfortunately from my mom, got the skill of, oh, if we can't pay the water bill, we're just going to stack that up and then hide it until they turn our water off. That's not a good budgeting skill.
No.
So having
But,
those
you know,
things.
the cooking and cleaning and washing clothes and all that kind of stuff, a lot of kids don't get that. They still
Yeah.
don't. And
Yeah.
and I'm not and it has nothing to do with socioeconomic background or anything like that. Nobody teaches them that. And I
Yeah.
remember when I was in college, okay, this was back in the dark ages, But there were kids who came to college who didn't know how to write a check.
It's weird.
I don't know that either.
That still happened in the
I mean-
late 90s too.
I never
Yeah,
seen
but
a
the
check.
thing is, there was no reason. We didn't really have credit cards like that in the
Yeah.
70s.
Yeah.
And they
Well,
did not know how to write a check. They did not know how to grocery shop. Excuse me, didn't you go grocery shopping with your mother? Because at that time, most of the kids, their mothers were stay-at-home mothers.
Well, now it's all done on like Shipt and Grubhub and Amazon. Now so you can do all your shopping that way now.
Yeah, I still like to go pick up my own produce.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't want
I
somebody
can-
else to pick up my produce for me, and I hate grocery shopping.
Yeah.
Monica.
Yes.
You know when it said people should learn washing clothes in school, I never learned washing clothes in my school or anything like that because I have a washing machine.
Well, no, just like basic, like, here's the basic stuff you need to do to keep your household at a functional level. So, and also, like, I mean, because I remember there was someone my first year of college, this was back in 96, so not so dark ages. But yeah, but he was going to wash his khaki pants on hot and dry them in hot. It's like, ooh, those are gonna fit a little bit tighter.
Monica,
No,
I think
there
that's
is a
kind
label
of,
on
I hate
them.
to say it, and I don't want to sound sexist, but the way women sort and wash their clothes and men sort and wash their
Yes.
clothes
Oh,
are different.
You-
My
you're
grandmother
very
taught me how
bad.
to do all that stuff.
Very
You know what?
He would
But-
say everything goes in, and then wondered why his T-shirt, his sweatshirt shrank,
okay.
and he was 6'7", and they became 3/4 sleeves, and all his underwear
See-
was gray instead of white.
All right, hold on.
There is
All right,
there's
hold
an
on.
easy way to fix that. You wash everything in cold.
Well, you got
No,
Mr.
he had
Mom
to you had to wash it in hot. to make
So-
Yeah,
sure.
and also Nate is going to be like, excuse me, exception
Okay.
to the
Yes, go
rule.
ahead, Nate.
Okay, number one, my first real job. Wait a minute, it wasn't my first real job. I worked at Whirlpool as in fabric care, so I become actually quite into the science
Ooh.
of caring for fabric properly. And so
Ooh.
in my house, I have 4 different bins. Now, because if you do wash your clothes at a cooler level, you can actually mix the colors a little bit better. I do have some. There's a line between efficiency and also good and better results. So I have a high efficiency front loading washer, which is the only thing I'll do is ever front load washers. And because the reason for this is it's actually a lot more gentle on the clothes. If you think about what's going on with
that makes
a
sense.
top load washer, the agitation process,
With the
it actually
agitator.
right it moves the clothes through the water. Oh no, it moves the water. Hold on. It moves the water through the clothes because of the way it agitates it, and it's really rough on the clothes. And also, clothes are the weakest when they're wet. I don't know if you knew that. Fabrics, textiles, they're at the weakest when they're wet. So you want to be
Makes
actually
sense.
gentle on them.
What fabric.
No, they're all actually at the weakest. For any
Some
clothes.
of them are not, but most
Not
of
they're
them
not they may not be as affected, like synthetics are not as affected as much as natural to the water.
Tend sometimes get stronger, but yes, on some dimensions they get weaker, and those are the ones that normally get destroyed when they're clumped together.
So when you have, do you know when you have like your lint trap? When you see like a lot of lint, you know what that is from?
From your
That's-
clothes.
Close.
That's from the washing, the
The
process of
fabric
the washing, and that's actually caused by the damage that's done in the washing process. So if you go from a traditional bath style washer, and then you'll actually have a lot more lint than we have with a front load washer because the damage to the clothes is much less in a front loader. In fact, I can tell you this too. I'm on good authority to tell you this, that when we did testing for laundry, we had like these test loads, and they break down over time because of the agitation process. And so what they would do is, as they'd break down from the top load washers, they would then move them to the front load washers, and they can almost wash them indefinitely with the front load washers because they're that much more gentle on the clothes.
I
So
have
you
a
think about-
question. What about the because I have a high efficiency top loader,
They're better.
and there the drum moves up and down.
Yeah, there's a base plate in there that changes. So
Right, that's
so
is that better for the clothes than the regular
Yes,
agitator type?
it is, but it's not. It's still not quite as good as the front loading, because the way how the front loading basically just kind of picks up your load and drops them. So it's actually
Right.
it's moving the clothes gently through the water is how that works, and so there's no and it's not actually tearing on the clothes at all. So you'll
That's
notice.
really
The
cool.
reason I like
Yeah.
a top loader is because if I have something that I want to felt that's made out of animal hair, I want to make a felted something. You can't do that with a front loader. You can't open it up and check it and then close it back up again.
This is true.
Because
Eris,
the water will come out. Huh?
Eris says you'd like to speak. You can just interrupt
Oh, yeah.
anytime. Anytime,
Yeah.
just interrupt.
I just saw everybody was excited about the laundry talk. I just
No.
wanted to ask, isn't a top loader less prone to needing repairs than a front loader? It's a simpler mechanic.
Yes and no. So the newer ones, it doesn't matter because anytime you get into high efficiency, they're running at they're much more complicated machines. So that bath style washer, it basically has two modes: agitate and spin, and then it kicks on a drain. So there's really not a whole lot more going on than that. So there's not a whole lot that can go wrong. But the but yes, there is less to go wrong. Well, today's top loaders and front loaders are about the same, really. But I will say, so I was helping a friend. They purchased a used front loader, and it didn't work. So because I know things, I went and I did a diagnostic mode. It's about a $300 fix for a motor control unit. And so yes, they're very expensive, but they have better diagnostics. So actually, it will tell you what's failed on it. It knows what's wrong. It keeps track of things like
Wow.
if it's not draining properly, or if it detects if it's a slow drain. It detects if it has all these different problems with it. So you can actually pretty easily find what the problem is with the machine, or if you have other issues. So so this machine that was used, the reason it failed is somebody worked on it and they didn't put the bellows, the rubber bellows that kind of connect the basket to the frame. This is appliance talk here on this Cubicle chat. But
Yes.
and so they actually put the retaining wire on the inside of the bellows. So not only were they rusty, it wasn't too bad rusty because there's a specification. It's got to be able to sustain a certain amount of caustic fluids, basically, from the detergents. Which, by the way, detergents are very rough on the machines, but that's another topic. So what happened was, because they didn't put that on properly, water was leaking underneath and basically destroyed the motor control unit, and that's why they got it for so cheap. So it's a $350 part, and that will actually it'll fix the machine. It should
And
fix
that's
it.
cheaper than buying a new washer.
A new front loader, yeah, a new one's 1,000-ish.
Yeah.
Whoa,
Especially- yeah. Yeah.
That's expensive. In Europe, front loaders go from anywhere from 300 to a few thousand if you want, the big industrial ones. But
Right.
Normal people normal people buy like those for like 500, 600.
So this would be the large. So this particular unit that I'm referring to is kind of it was the top end, like 3, maybe 4 years ago. So it's got like the smart stuff in it and everything else.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Hmm.
yeah.
So, but it's a very nice machine if it's running. So mechanically, it's totally fine. It's just the control system, which I think it'd be fun to try and control with like a Raspberry Pi, except you'd end up destroying something most likely. Steve, you have something to kick in there?
I'm just loving the appliance talk, but I have to ask, with the front load washers, how do you keep the doorway from getting moldy? Because that's the big complaint I always hear about those, is the door gets moldy.
So if you properly clean them, they have a cleaning cycle. If you properly clean them and also you let them air out, that's not a problem. Also,
You gotta leave the door open. That is the secret.
yeah, you also have to do that with a top loader too. They just don't collect it as much, but they will stink also. It doesn't.
I never heard of them getting moldy.
Well, I don't know how it is where you live, but it's very humid, especially where I live, and so it's only a matter of time before things get moldy in Michigan. It's just a matter of time. It doesn't matter. It could be anything, and it'll get moldy. So what I also recommend too is, recommend white vinegar This also, they won't tell you this in the manual, but if you actually do a cleaning cycle, high temperature cleaning cycle with white vinegar, that will pretty much solve any of those problems. And just leave it open to dry. Also, these fancier washers too, they actually have a fan inside of it, so it'll actually keep pumping air to make sure it doesn't get moldy as well. So
Okay. I think that Max has a very good question from the YouTube chat. Recommendation for the proper size googly eyes to apply to washer and dryers.
nothing less than 1 inch.
Go big or go home.
Yeah. I mean, otherwise you're not going to see them. The ratio's got to be right, because it's about, 20 some odd inches wide and roughly 30 inches, 34 inches tall. So you got to make sure you have nice big googly eyes to put on the front of that.
Mm-hmm.
Had to do the conversion in my head first.
I think it's 26 inches wide. That's what I think it is.
I had
least the
to
big ones.
convert to actual measurement units, so centimeters.
No,
We
no,
can't
no,
help
inches.
what our standards are.
I have to blame the British on that one.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna blame anyone. I know, because I know that metric is superior. The end of story.
It's
We
much
know that
easier.
too, but we can't. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Actually,
much easier.
You know,
Interesting fact. So, if you were to look up the definition of imperial measurements, they are now based off of metric.
Yeah.
So, the imperial world is literally metric, but
Mhm.
they don't like to admit it.
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, just go metric, guys, and make your lives easier because you're literally having to convert back to metric.
Yeah.
So,
Now, I think there are
just-
some.
Just go metric.
I think there are some
And actually,
industries that still use English, like for kitchen measurements. They still use that. There's a certain it's that 3 or 4 inch interval. Everything has to be in kitchens, and they still use that. I think they use that in. I was told. I can't verify this. I was told they actually use that standard in Europe for kitchens still. Inches.
I don't know.
I don't know. I was
I've
told
just
that.
been
I
trying to
can't
learn
verify.
Celsius.
Well,
I've been trying to learn Celsius because, like, on my computer, it's easier to remember that 100
easy.
is not good in Celsius.
Celsius.
Whereas in Fahrenheit, it's just like,
Right,
meh,
you
it's
can boil water
normal
for
Tuesday.
tea.
100 Celsius is when water boils.
Right.
Right.
So-
But it's also when the point where your computer auto shuts off.
Yeah.
When you're overclocking.
When your computer is at 100 degrees, it will start thermal throttle. If it still can't lower the temperature, it will go down.
Yeah.
I had
It's just easier to remember 100 degrees Celsius is where it's going to shut off than it is 212, right?
Well, the whole metric system is so much easier
Yeah.
because everything it's base 10 and everything is
Oh.
in units of 10.
Yeah.
And why we can't
So,
get people in the United
if-
States to do that? Every other industrialized nation is metric.
If I'm not
Actually-
mistaken, there was actually metric time at one point.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Okay, that's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
for
it
some
never
things
caught on.
basics just works for some things. It works for
It never caught
fine.
on.
Actually,
Never caught
many
on,
Industries, even
but-
in America, still already use metric, but then they convert stuff to imperial just so laymen understand.
Well, it's just
But then
also I
people
think
just
Max
convert
makes
areas.
Max makes a really good point. That the cost of changing things would have been really high. I think Nate is right that it would be higher now, but the more you kind of entrench, then yeah, the bigger debt you
They
Well-
tried
rack
to
up.
change it in the 70s
Past mistakes.
when
should
Canada
teach
changed,
people.
when Canada switched. And, people were saying it was un-American to switch to the metric system.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. It was one of the most ridiculous things.
You
I mean, it's
they are
un-British.
units for a reason. well, you guys should have learned the year, I believe it was around 90s, when you crashed a probe onto Mars because NASA used metric and Lockheed Martin used imperial.
Oh, that's
Oh,
that's a
that
classic.
was
Great job,
oh
Americans.
That was a classic.
that man. Some of those poor Mars missions. There were a few years where it's just like, oof. You're like,
Now that was
what's going to happen now? Wasn't that the Mars?
Mars Climate Orbiter. That was
Yeah.
Mars Climate Orbiter. And
Yeah.
it was a bit of a special probe because it had just on one side a solar panel, and because of that it had to do some spins and some stabilizations to correct because of solar pressure, because solar pressure basically turn it around and move it a bit. So they were doing those, but Lockheed Martin was sending one type of units, and NASA was thinking they were sending them another type of units, and they sent them
Yeah.
like in their own, and they input it in their own. So
Well, there you go.
it's a whole mess. And
Yep.
at the end, they were supposed to do another burn, but according to calculations which were done by wrong units, everything should be fine. And guess what happened? Entry
It wasn't fine.
interface
Yeah.
was a bit too low, and it burned up in atmosphere instead
Yeah.
of going to nice orbit.
Yeah. And then there was the one that just it went radio silent, and they think it just missed Mars and just kept.
Yeah, it just went right
going.
past us with it. Yeah.
And I remember they put it on the side of a milk carton with a "Have you seen me?"
Well, at least you're not so great as the Europeans who basically crashed their lander because in the middle of landing, it started spinning,
Whoops.
and they made a crater in a crater basically because he decided I landed even though it was spinning like high in the air. It just cut parachute and there we go into the ground.
Yeah. I mean,
Space.
you know what? That would actually, given the whole the Ingenuity helicopter, I think that a Linux in space themed episode would be very cool.
Yeah,
That would be fun.
now we have Linux in space, even though the main operating system on the Perseverance actually isn't Linux. It is VxWorks because it needs to be real time, but the storage and all that is controlled by Linux.
There we go. Doing the
But
dirty work.
also-
Kind of a space enthusiast nowadays. So
Yeah,
I know
but
how
also I
to
think that
track.
there's a lot of other things too, and I know that there's some interesting things about what is it, the Kubuntu Focus laptops being
Yeah.
used at JPL.
Yeah, JPL uses Ubuntu Focus nowadays. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that would be a fun theme thing to do. Because oh my gosh, I have to admit, watching Perseverance land was the most ridiculously
that
exciting
was-
thing.
That was so.
That was good.
That was amazing.
I was basically tensing up, waiting if it will land or not. And when the guy said Tango Delta, I was like,
Yeah.
it came down.
Yeah.
It's cool. Well, it's about that time. Gonna wrap it up. I'd like to go around the horn. If anyone has it for a last word. So Vash, do you have any? What's your last word? Got anything to plug?
Not really. Beyond that, video about Pipewire, which would be of interest if you're interested in learning a little bit more about it.
I'll put that in the chat one more time. So that anyone who's left. Well, thank you.
There's
Glad you're
about
here.
4 people left.
Yeah, that's fine. Barb,
Watching a blank screen.
Yes. Anything to add?
Yeah. any last word?
Yes. Let's go metric.
Let's go metric. I like that. I mean, it's 3 words, but that's good.
Well,
Thomas,
Well, for those of you who haven't seen my updates in the chat, I have been working on a tablet. It has now been successfully rooted.
yay!
Huzzah! Haven't found a different OS for it yet. It doesn't look like UbiPorts is going to work, but we'll see.
Well, make sure you share that in the middle chat.
I will.
Okay.
I will. I'm currently trying to get it to look decent since it's light themed Android 6.
Ah.
So yeah. Can we get an F in chat, please? Other than that, thanks for doing this again, Nate. I greatly appreciate the virtual lug. And yeah,
Excellent.
have a good one.
Eris.
Thank you for putting this on, Nate. Yo, Miss Biddle. I just want to say that I really love Fahrenheit. I just Celsius just doesn't work for me. There's not enough divisions, I guess, because usually people don't give you decimal points.
Actually,
Actually, dude.
Wait till it's your turn,
Oh,
Big
boy.
Pod. Wait till it's your turn, Big Pod.
two different units. So within 1 degree and 2 degree is the same as in Fahrenheit with Celsius.
You can have partial degrees.
Yeah, but
I know, but nobody uses them. Everybody just uses whole numbers usually.
why would you?
Well, more precise.
You're more precise.
Yep. So also, it's like, it's in the 70s, it's in the 80s. You don't have like that in the metric in Celsius. You just kind of have, so that we can change everything to metric except for temperature. That's how I feel. Monica, what have you got to share with it on your way out?
Anyway, fidgety things that make stuff are cool. Don't be afraid to do them. And if you need things to do this week and you're bored, here's Suit Hippo testing week is going on. Yes, I have so many stuffed animals, so feel free to look it up and test stuff, and it will make people very happy.
Excellent. Thank you. Big Pod.
I have myself to plug, specifically my YouTube channel.
Perfect.
I'm trying
Plug
new
it.
Stuff. It's Big Pod on YouTube. I'm trying to do currently live streaming.
Cool.
So stuff. Actually, I've been live streaming me programming in C# of all the languages.
Well, if I may ask, make sure like when you start doing live streams, like this is for anybody. If you guys are going to do something like during the week, plug it in the middle chat and just say, hey, I'm doing this, and then maybe just kind of ping me, and I'd like to have people kind of aware of these things going on, of other people in the community. That's I think what the Biddle's about. So I would like for you to make sure you at me in there so that I can pin it or whatever. So.
But before I forget, Nate, don't forget an announcement to make if you haven't.
I have an announcement to make at the end. Yep, I won't forget that. So, Mo West, if you're still there, Steve. Mo West, Steve.
Yep, I'm still here. Thanks a lot, Nate, for hosting this once again. It really did feel like a lug tonight with all the variant talk here about appliances and knitting. And it was all good. It was all good. Thanks for everybody coming tonight and participating and bringing your own color to the conversation. It really was a wonderful evening. Just things to plug. Discoverfoss.com is my blog, and I would love to have a chat with everybody. If others are using static site generators, I think they're just a fun tool to make use of in Linux. And if anybody wants to have some chats about that further, I'd be super interested.
Cool.
So have a great night, everybody.
Excellent. Steve's very own, the other Steve.
Hello. Well, thanks, Nate. Nice to do something on a Saturday night. I'll plug. I'll be on in the morning. For those in the States, if you feel like getting up early, or some Sunday Linux coffee clutch.
Excellent. Thanks.
And Adam said he was going to talk about his knitting. So.
Okay. I'm looking for that sort of knitting. Adam, last word, bud.
Thanks for doing this, Nate. I had nothing else to do tonight, and that was awesome that you filled my evening.
Excellent.
And the rest of you as well. So you guys take it easy.
All right. Thank you very much. And I'm going to go ahead and plug my stuff. I got I'm on the DLN Extend podcast with the Destination Linux Network, where I have my co-hosts Matt and Wendy trying to enable me to either buy hardware or buy games. So that's lots of fun. And also I do my noodlings, my Cubicle Nate noodlings. They're not very good, but they're just me kind of in a Nate echo chamber. It's what I call my where I talk about things that tickle my nerdy nerve endings. So that's what I do there.
I love those. Those are
good.
awesome.
Well, they think you're the only one. Anyway, so I wanted to also let everybody know this is the final Cubicle chat on a Saturday night. It's going to be retired. Next week, there won't be anything, but the week after, the real Biddle will be back. So
Ooh.
so Biddle is coming back. It'll be a slightly different setup. I will actually be hosting the real Biddle, and hopefully I'll have all my technical issues worked out. This was supposed to be the best one, and it was not. So we'll see how it goes. But but it'll be actually hosted on the Big Daddy Linux YouTube as well. So Biddle'll be back. It might be more of like a hot seat type setup instead of always being Rocco or me or somebody else. So yeah, so I'll let you know. That's the real thing.
Cool.
We'll be back. And so
Outstanding.
yep. And whether we use Jitsi or Zoom, I don't know yet. So I have to work that out. But yeah, so it'll there will be on the Big Daddy Linux YouTube. It'll be coming back. So I've had some conversations with Rocco, and things are just busy for him right now. But we should see him soon. So anyway, so that's it. Thank you very much for everybody. I want to thank you all for joining, and I want to thank for the Jitsi meeting. I'd like to thank the OpenSUSE project again, Rocco for starting the BDLL community, and everyone involved in making Linux and open source tools possible, and for us not to only have this conversation, but all the fun and enjoyment that we get from our technology because of everyone who's involved, from testing to programming, and really helping us put personal back in personal computer where we can each have really what it is that we like to enjoy our digital lives. So thank you once again, and until next time, see yous.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.
And we're off.